Welcome. This is my collaboration and leadership reflection video for Nursing 4010, Leading People, Processes, and Organizations in Interprofessional Practice. My name is Bryna Carter. In this video, I will reflect on an interdisciplinary collaboration experience, noting ways in which it was successful and unsuccessful in achieving desired outcomes. Identify ways poor collaboration can result in inefficient management of human and financial resources, supported by evidence from the literature. Identify best practice leadership strategies from the literature which would improve an interdisciplinary team's ability to achieve its goals. Identify best practice interdisciplinary collaboration strategies to help a team to achieve its goals and work more effectively together. I will reference authors from the literature. I am an RN house supervisor in a rural hospital in Alabama. The hospital has 6 ICU beds. One of the aspects of my job is dealing with patient and family complaints. During the height of the COVID pandemic, one of the most common complaints I would get from family members of patients in our intensive care unit was lack of information they felt like they were receiving from the nurses and the doctors. They also felt like they were being asked to make important health care decisions for their family members without being adequately informed. I would then get complaints from doctors and nurses that due to families being hesitant to make important decisions, that patients were suffering and having setbacks. This will tell how I spearheaded an interdisciplinary collaboration that increased family satisfaction and increased patient outcomes. First, I met with the nurses on the unit. I wanted their input. They felt like family members called too many times per shift. They also reported that multiple family members would call for the same patient and ask the same questions. According to a 2018 study by Bell and Roche, family members reported anxiety with important decision making and often voiced decreased trust in the healthcare staff when they had difficulty having questions answered. Another finding suggests that it is mainly intensive care unit nurses who primarily answered many of the family questions as opposed to the doctors. As reported by Ager and Hardy, family members expressed the need to obtain information throughout the entire care pathway, including when intensive care staff had no new information to impart. I then spoke with the doctors to get their input. They felt like every time they tried to call family members to give them an update, no one was available to talk to them. I realized then that this was a problem that needs to be addressed. I went to our director of nursing to discuss this problem, and we knew this problem didn't just fall on one care group. And unlike the Villa Health scenario, we wanted input from all disciplines involved on how to address this problem. So to try to get a better understanding of the questions that family members had, I spoke with several family members of some of our ICU patients who had been there the longest. I wanted to know what questions they wanted answered every day, what was most important to them. I took those questions, added a few more, and made a form. This form addressed all the disciplines. There was an area for nurses, doctors, case management, chaplain, physical therapy, and respiratory therapy. Of course, with the nurses, patients wanted to know, did they eat? Did they have a bath? Have they had their medicine today? Families wanted to know from the doctors what their prognosis was. Did they think they were going to get to go home soon? How they were doing? The usual doctor questions. Physical therapy, families always wanted to know, did they walk today? Did they get up? Or did they have physical therapy in the bed? Common questions for the chaplain: did he visit? Did they have prayer? Questions for respiratory therapy were one of the most common questions and some of the most important. Were they on oxygen? Had they weaned their oxygen? Had they begun working on ventilator weaning on our ventilated patients? After the form was made, I showed it to the interdisciplinary team, had them make their comments on it. We agreed on the final form, and we had it produced. We decided that that form would stay by the patient's bedside for 24 hours for everyone to fill out and add their comments to. Then myself, or the house supervisor that worked opposite me, would collect them every day at 1 p.m. We then let family members know that we had set the time aside that we would call from 1:30 to 3 o'clock every day to update them and answer their questions. We asked that they have one person to be the family representative for us to call. We would talk to that one person, and then they could update the rest of the family. We began to slowly see an increase in family and patient satisfaction, and it was beginning to work out great. They had a decreased amount of calls to the unit, but one unexpected thing we discovered was the nurses were genuinely missing talking to the families. We did keep our daily calls, but the nurses on their own began calling and introducing themselves to the families and reminding them of our daily update calls. As the pandemic went on, we had setbacks, and unlike the administration in the Villa Health scenario, we listened and acted appropriately to achieve positive results. I'm proud of our interdisciplinary collaboration, and I'm proud we made it through the pandemic.